Okay, everybody, this is episode 35 of the podcast, and admittedly, this week we felt was a pretty slow news week for big gaming news, so we probably won't have as much to discuss, but we did get some things that came in today, particularly Pokemon Unite released today. I actually didn't know that. I feel like I had seen that before getting released this week, I just didn't remember. And we also are going to be talking about the Steam Deck handheld device, as well as some other game announcements that occurred over the past week, or games that went into some kind of beta of some kind. So, Spoon, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Yep. I
Cool.
feel like I feel like as usual, there wasn't much news until like yesterday and today, and there was like a bunch of stuff yesterday and today, or
Mm-hmm.
stuff to talk about, I should say.
Yeah,
Like
that's true. That's a true
I feel like
statement.
that's happened the past bunch of weeks where we're like, man, we're not gonna have anything to talk about this week, and then Tuesday and Wednesday roll around, and it's like, well, we got stuff to talk about now.
Exactly. Um, So let's start with an intro, and then we'll kind of ease into all the game news. So, as per usual with the introductions, starting off with the YouTube stuff. The YouTube one will be short today because we haven't really been afforded much content to post since Scarlet Nexus kind of ended for both of us. The only other stuff we're going to be posting is podcast episode VODs that I didn't get to post. So Spoon was gracious enough to do that for me because I've been grading homework the past couple days, and it's been a little
Yeah,
bit more difficult with grading homework and also like trying to fit in some other things like playing a little bit of New World here and there. It's been a little bit more challenging for me to like get in, download the videos, highlight them, upload them, and things like that. It's been hard for me.
yeah, we're a few episodes behind on that, but they are all uploaded now, and they are scheduled to go up or to be available to the public, I should say, live videos tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday in the afternoon. So,
Perfect.
yep, those are good to go. So they'll be up.
Yep. And as for like other YouTube videos that we're planning currently, I can say confidently that I have nothing planned. I've been playing a bit of Xenoblade, which I've been trying to finish up this week, but I'm, you know, not 100% sure I can finish it over the next few days that I'll have time for. My hope is I can cram in some time Friday and Saturday and cross my fingers and hope that it's going to be enough time to at least get close to the end. And then when I go to LA, I'll just play the rest of it in LA, and that'll be how I figure it out. So I've been playing it off stream though, so the stuff that I was going to do was Xenoblade, but I just felt more comfortable doing it off stream. As far as actual like YouTube video content that I have thought of though, only thing I've been thinking about is Mass Effect, and I'm delaying that because New World and Xenoblade are just like if I tried to cram in Mass Effect, it's something would have to drop in its place. So it's going to be Mass Effect will probably come back late next week is what'll happen, and I'll be doing Mass Effect videos and putting them on the YouTube. So that's the only stuff that I have planned. And Spoon, I know you just came back from a little trip of your own, and I don't know like what your plans were for games that you're going to be playing in the future, but um, I don't know like videos, just actual game video content might be a bit slow over the next week or so. Is what I'm thinking, and I think
Yeah,
Spoon, yeah,
I don't really want to start anything else. Like I'm working on finishing up, Kasane's playthrough in Scarlet Nexus on my own time.
yeah,
Won't be uploading that. I did download Pokemon Unite today and played like the tutorial, like just booted it up basically. Maybe checking that out, but I don't really have any plans to do much streaming or YouTube content because I don't really want to get started on a playthrough because I'm going back to school in a week and a half. So
right,
yeah,
yeah. I
um,
mean,
I may,
it
I
makes
may do
sense.
I may do some rando here and there again, probably on my own channel if I do that, but that's
Yeah,
about it.
and then when you're going to school, you're obviously not bringing much technology to stream, so that's going to be like, oh God, I don't know how long the year lasts for you for the first. You don't necessarily do like, you do like terms, right? So like my question was just going to be like, how long is the term going to be where you're not going to be home?
Months.
Say that again. I literally, I don't know what happened. I couldn't hear you.
4 months.
4 months. Yep.
August 3rd. Yeah. Well, I'm leaving July 31st, and my flight home is December 4th.
Oh, okay.
So
So you're not even coming home like during holidays. Wow.
it's too far.
Yeah.
It doesn't
No, no, no.
know.
Yeah, I didn't know. So yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, video content. We can confidently say video content is going to be a bit slower than it was the past month because last month we had tons of stuff to put up, right? And it's going to slow down significantly by comparison to the last couple weeks. So we'll still talk about the YouTube and we'll still do some stuff, but our content load's going to be slowed significantly for
But we
for those of
will
you that are following along.
we'll still have the weekly podcast
Yeah, of
episodes.
course.
So
Yeah, we'll still be doing that, assuming that nothing happens. It's worth noting as well for those of you that have been following us. So starting not next month, but in September, our podcast episodes are going to be shifted a bit. This is my fault. I have a class that I need to take the train to get to because it's in San Francisco, and it just so happens that that takes up podcast time. So the date of the podcast will most likely shift, and we will be communicating over the next month what exactly that's going to be. But unfortunately, I had a class that I was going to take, and I thought it was set up proper so I could do it, and then they told me I couldn't take it because they're not going to do virtual anymore. So I had to drop it and pick up a class last second, and it just so happened that they were helpful enough to coordinate a San Francisco class to work out for me. So it is what it is, and that was the compromise that they made for me, which was generous enough as is. So podcast episodes will continue to happen on the channel, and we'll get the videos up. But just keep in mind that that stuff is gonna probably shift as well. The live shows will shift. And this week there's no Dungeons and Dragons. There was a schedule conflict on my end, and the schedule conflict took precedence because it was only able to be done at the time we would do Dungeons and Dragons for the podcast channel. So that'll be shifted to next week as a result, and we'll be taking a week off from that. So as far as the actual content updates, I think those are the appropriate ones. Spoon, do you have anything I'm missing that you would like to add on to this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, let's shift gears then. So, can we? I'm just going to confidently say this. I think this was the biggest bit of news from the previous week. The Steam Deck. Can I confidently say that was the biggest news? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Steam Deck was. It was. Interestingly enough, their reveal and announcement of it happened around the time, I think it was the exact day Nintendo did pre-orders for the OLED system.
Mm-hmm.
So they tactically did this, clear tactic, and unfortunately there's probably like some image that's not working here. This is the image of what it looks like. The system's actually really big. This system, I just like seeing somebody hold it, it looked bigger than the Switch. Okay? So this is bigger than the Switch. Yeah.
It's pretty heavy too. It's like it's a couple of pounds at least. Like it's not. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, I imagine it's got some hardware built into it that's a little bit more higher end than what the Switch was putting out there. So I expect it to be heavier. One thing I am concerned about is the placement of some of these joysticks. So this handheld device, it's is a device that can it is your Steam library on a handheld device. It also has like a dock system, so it can dock and then connect onto your computer or I guess like a TV screen or a monitor, right?
Monitor.
Yeah. And go ahead.
The dock's gonna be sold separately though. Unlike with the Switch where the dock comes with it. So
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. So, yeah, that's good to know. The system has 3 different storage options. The storage options are, and I've actually got them on an image because I got to pre-order this. Actually, it's a reservation to get it. So there's a 64 gigabyte eMMC storage. Then there's a 256 gigabyte SSD storage, and then there's a 512 gigabyte SSD storage. The $400 version is the cheapest one. It just comes with a carrying case. The $530 option is the bigger storage. It's also faster, carrying case, and an exclusive community profile bundle. Not sure what that will be. The $650 option is twice the storage of the previous iteration, and it says anti-glare etched glass, exclusive carrying case, exclusive community profile bundle, and a virtual keyboard theme. It's also worth noting that you had to there was like a process to reserve these things. So you could only do it through Steam's client or their website. I would imagine too that you could do this. And there were very specific instructions, as in you had to have made a purchase in the last month or something like that. There was a required purchase. You had to have an account. The account couldn't be new. The account had to be a certain time period old. And a lot of people had trouble actually getting their reservation through because, particularly with like trying to input credit card information, it would it wouldn't process once you put it all in sometimes. So for some people it was difficult.
You said that you needed to have made a purchase on Steam within X amount of time.
Yeah, you had to have made a purchase before on Steam, I think, is what they said.
But like just at some point.
At some point, yes. At some point in time.
Got it. They're trying to prevent scalpers basically from like making new accounts and pre-ordering these things. Okay.
Which
I thought you were saying that you had to have like, if you haven't bought a game on Steam in the past month or something, you can't pre-order that. I'm like, okay, that's stupid. Like
you had to have made a purchase on their client and such. You had to have made a purchase
at some point before.
You had to have made a purchase. Yeah, it didn't have to be in the last month, but you had to have made a purchase. Again, mitigations to scalping, but scalping still occurred, but it's mitigations to prevent too many to be taken for reservations. Now, again, a lot of problems with the reservations, like to be expected. I was fortunate enough to reserve it. You paid $5 to reserve it, and then they will send you like an email at a certain point in time. I think it was December is what they told me. So yeah, we'll begin shipping in December 2021, and then you actually make the purchase when they send an email to do so. If you don't make the purchase when they send their email, probably in a certain time period, you probably just lose your reservation and then just move forward with somebody else. It's also worth noting that at first this said that some of the expected order availabilities were different for some people. Like, for example, this is mine, and it says Q1 2022. Okay? Some people had Q2 2022 and possibly further, depending on when you actually reserved your hardware. So all this stuff kind of came together very quickly, and yeah, if you were fortunate enough to actually reserve this and you wanted it, great. But I don't think it had as many issues, not nearly as many issues, just the way the process was set up as a PlayStation 5, as an Xbox Series X, S, and so on and so forth.
One thing I'll say, by the way, that I want to comment, that $400 version, the base version, 64 gigabytes is like, that's nothing.
It's nothing, yeah.
Like, that to me is not worth it at all. Like, if you're going to buy this, you want to buy one of the other two versions, either the 256 or the 512. 64 gigabytes, there are some games that are more than that. And most games these days are like minimum 30. So you're looking at like, unless you're just playing, like if you're playing indies, okay, they're much smaller. But you can play it if you're just gonna play a ton of indies, then fine. But most games again are just like minimum 30 gigabytes. With that 64 one, you're gonna You
Yeah.
know, if you're not playing indies, you were gonna be putting like 1 or 2 games on that thing at a time, and that's it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's
Yep.
that's no storage space whatsoever.
Yeah. It's there's also, just as an additional note before, we talk about this more, like, not with the details of the system. There are games that are not going to be on this system. Destiny 2 is an example. Apex Legends, I know, is an example. There was like 5 or so games, maybe 6 that I saw, but yeah, Destiny 2 can't be played on this. It's not allowed. I think it had to do with the game itself. It had nothing to do with really the hardware. I think it had something to do with the game. Apex Legends, you can't play. Um, oh god, there was like 5 or 6 games that were like listed as they are not to be played on this system. They just can't. So you can't play everything on this from your Steam library, but it's pretty damn near close to that.
Yeah.
So okay, now that the details, I mean, there's more details here. Like you could talk about the graphics card. The graphics card, um, uh, my understanding is the graphics card is high end enough where it's gonna play not like a new gen system, but it'll play well. It'll probably play PS4 type system graphics.
Yeah, that's what I was reading. Is the specs are similar to like a PS4 basically, or
Mm-hmm.
a Xbox One. It's similar to like one gen ago specs, which is pretty good for a handheld. Let's be
For a
honest.
handheld,
Like,
that's very good. For a handheld, that's very good. Um, you're going to be playing some games in a really nice quality, depending on what you're playing. And I just the most people I think that were talking about this on Twitter were trying to get the 6050 version, which I think is somewhat understandable because you're like, oh, I get like twice the storage as the previous iteration. Just for me, when I was thinking about this, okay, let's say like at one time when I look at my Steam library, I really don't have that many games installed at once.
yeah,
So like for me, like right now, just looking at mine, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and 5 of the I'm sure all those games are more than 50 gigabytes. So that's really all the storage I need theoretically is for 5 games this much. Like the 512 I think is just overkill. Like how many games are you going to put on your handheld? Like 10? Like why do you need 10 games on your handheld at once to just boot up and play? I don't know. It seemed like overkill, so that's why I personally didn't go for that one. I thought the 529 and like the 64 was just. I was just like, yeah, this is just a joke. That's not gonna do anything. You're gonna have like maybe 2 games on there if you're lucky. So Spoon, um, your
yeah,
thoughts on the Steam Deck and any other additional notes that I didn't talk about?
yeah. I mean, I think it's a cool idea. I can see the appeal of it. Basically, I don't think I'll be getting one. Just don't play handheld that much. But I think it's a cool idea. Um, yeah, I agree with you, and I said it earlier that the base version, the $400 one with 64 gigabytes, is just stupid. Like,
It's dumb, yeah.
again, unless you only play indies or are only going to play indies on it, that's not worth it to me at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think the 512 is necessarily overkill, but I see what you're saying. But yeah, I think either the 256 or the 512 version are the way to go with this if you're gonna get it. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. It makes sense from a business perspective. Seems like there's pretty good demand for this. Seems like people are excited for it. Um, the Switch is cool. The Switch is very successful, but it can only play Nintendo games, obviously, and its specs are kind of a joke.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I mean, it doesn't need to have good specs because people don't care because it's Nintendo and they make good games and they don't care that they're not the most graphically appealing games out there. Um, but yeah, it's cool to have sort of a more high end, it's basically the Steam Switch. So
Yeah.
yeah, and apparently it has the ability to function like as a PC. Like you can you could theoretically install like Epic Games on this and play like Epic Games stuff on it
Yeah,
from
you
what I've
could.
heard,
Yeah.
or other launchers basically. Um,
That's interesting. Oh God, I can't wait for try and boot up a Ubisoft game through Steam and just get Uplay installed on this thing. And
yeah,
oh God, that's gonna be terrible.
but yeah. So yeah, basically it's a handheld PC. Obviously, it's made by Steam, so Steam is going to be the baseline and the main integration. But you know, again, apparently it's possible to install other stuff on it and have it function like kind of as a PC in general.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, looks cool. Again, I don't think I'll be getting it, at least not initially. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's cool.
I think it's a. I think it's very. It's just a very good idea for Steam. It's the handheld market currently is. There are two players: your phone and a Nintendo Switch. A Nintendo Switch is a handheld device, as much as it is a device you can dock and play on your TV. It is a handheld device. It is. There's like no other way to put it. It's both. It's a nice blend of both. The Switch is a very good idea, and I think so. This is as well, especially if this plays as a PC and the ability to do more than just game, or even like download the Epic Game Store on this and boot up Epic Game Store games. Then that means you could theoretically play Fortnite on this, but also there are other Epic Games exclusives that you could play. I mean, it's nice. It's nice that this thing could actually do that, and it's surprising, by the way, that it could do that. I'm surprised that Steam would just like allow the Epic Games Store to be downloaded on their system like this, but it's it's a good idea. I like the idea of it. I like the idea of playing games like, for example, I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 a little bit here and there. Playing a Baldur's Gate type of game on this system would be pretty cool and fun. Playing like there are some card games that I play on Steam that aren't on any other device. Playing those on this device seems really cool. Like my major concern regards internet access. My
Yep.
major concern is internet access. If I'm in the car, I don't have internet access unless I
Oh, what about the
hotspot.
battery? Like, what's the battery life
The
on this thing?
battery
Good.
supposedly is 8 hours, which I can't believe because it's not going to be 8 hours. You're going to play some really high end like a game that's going to be very intensive on the system, or something else that's going to be intensive. My guess is it's going to be like 4 hours. It's going to be
Yeah,
half
I
that.
was gonna say I think the Switch only lasts like 3 or 4 hours if you're playing a
It's
game. It's
yeah.
not very
It's
good.
if I turn it on and don't do anything, it probably will last 8 hours.
Yeah, but that's like okay, cool.
Yeah, but I'm just
I
like
I I turned it on and left it in sleep mode, and it dies after 8 hours. Great, that's
yeah. I'm
helpful.
just yeah.
Like,
That's what has been said is it's 8 hours, but in all realism, I think it's going to be more like 50% of that. Um, I think this is a good idea. I really do. I think that you know the specs for this thing are good. I do think that to counter your point a bit, I think visuals do matter to a certain extent, but I think Nintendo's kind of gotten away with it because of the way that they make their games. It the way that Nintendo's been making their games hasn't been in such a way where like the graphics do matter for them. They there's a certain style to it that they use that it just doesn't need to have that. But for some people, it's very important. And this system being able to run almost PS4 type graphics is really good for a handheld device. I think
I, I,
that
di-
there's a lot of appeal to that.
I didn't mean that the graphics like don't matter. What I mean is like for Nintendo, like it doesn't really matter for them. Like their
Hmm.
games are they're
Oh, I know, I
stylized
know.
mostly. Like for Steam, like PC gaming, like PS5, Xbox Series X, yeah, graphics matter. People care about the power and the performance and the resolution, the
Right.
visual fidelity on their system. For Nintendo, people care about the brands and the names.
Yeah.
Like obviously if the game looked like absolute dog shit, people would care, but they looked good enough that, people
Right.
aren't gonna complain,
This is
basically.
This is also a value add-on for developers, actually. Steam doesn't really play too nicely with developers in their revenue sharing, but there are plenty of developers who are going to see this as a huge benefit for them because they may or may not have developed their systems for like the Switch, and getting, for example, like a Koromon type game, which is first and foremost developed for Steam. Like now you don't necessarily have to feel obligated like, oh, we got to right away get this on the Switch because that's the handheld device. Now Steam's got a handheld device, and depending on how many people are using it, some indie devs are going to get this as a value add-on for them, like almost like, indirectly they're going to get benefited because now their games might be more appealing on the go as a result, which, yeah, for sure, like a game like Koromon, which is like a Pokemon type game, it's going to get a huge value add-on from that. And there's going to be several others that are going to get the same thing. But my biggest issue is internet access. If a game, like for example, let's just take an example again. MMO New World is coming out, and it obviously it requires internet access all the fucking time. So why would I'm not saying like, oh, I have to play this on the handheld device, but like that game isn't going to be very good on a handheld device when I'm in my car, unless I pop a hotspot. So that's something. But at the same time, maybe you're on like the train or something, or you're on like a plane that has Wi-Fi. Might be cool to have your MMO being played from this Steam Deck that is only on Steam. From there, there's obviously some question marks regarding. I think internet access is going to be the biggest one, but like there's like lots of value add-on benefits, assuming the hardware works, assuming that the system works well. They did make a little jab at Nintendo saying they actually made sure that all the hardware on here works, as in the joysticks. Switch has terrible fucking joysticks, and they know it, and they still sell it because they just don't care.
At least they fix it for free now.
They fix it for free now, but it's just like no awareness and just completely purposefully sending us crappy stuff because they don't care.
Yeah. This also, you can see it on the model, by the way. There is a left and a right, trackpad, basically. And
I noticed that.
Way to use like a mouse style.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Controls on this. I mean, I'm not super fond of trackpads personally, but it's there. Also, apparently, there's also like 4 buttons in the back that are customizable.
Wow,
so
that's cool. I mean, there's been a lot of effort put into this thing. I do think like the placing of some of the buttons is going to be kind of like the look. If you look at the XYBA, like literally right next to that joystick, like on the Switch, it's above. So like I'm not sure how it's gonna do like being right next to it like that. I can imagine me like flipping my finger to the right and accidentally hitting a button. So like like the B there, that B is like coming off the edge of the system.
Yeah, it's kind of hanging off the edge there.
But I'm optimistic. That's why I reserved it. I'm optimistic, and I was able to. And I see a lot of cool stuff that comes from this. I mean, like there's some games like Stardew Valley, for example. Stardew Valley's on other systems too. It doesn't matter. But like there's other games that I think being mobile is a huge value add-on. Again, like I'm like imagining playing Baldur's Gate 3, this like D&D styled game on a handheld device, and it's kind of interesting. It's very interesting to like play on a handheld and not be on my computer playing it.
I mean, I think people are gonna kill for Hades on this thing.
Yeah,
people love Hades. Like
it's great for that. Yeah, for sure. This is like again, there's like a couple.
Any of those like roguelike type games, like those are great games for like handheld on the go. You know, because they're short and sweet. You get in, like you do a run, you get out, and like that's it.
You could play Humankind on the Steam Deck.
You could try.
You could try. I'm not sure. Yeah, we're not sure how it would play out, obviously. But like, yeah, there's stuff that I think really is good for this. I really do think there's like plenty of games that you're just like, man, these developers are just like, man, what a value add on for us that we probably had no part in, but we got a value add on.
Yeah.
So a very cool thing. Hopefully it works. Okay, let's move on to Ubisoft. Ubisoft, by the way, Ubisoft is in trouble here. They've got a lot of things happening. First off, they did a worldwide reveal trailer for Tom Clancy's XDefiant, which is it's Overwatch. It's Overwatch using Tom Clancy characters, and I didn't watch this trailer fully, but you can see on the bottom here the dislikes to likes ratio is obviously not good.
Oh yeah, it's quite bad.
It's quite bad. I'm gonna mute it and just let the trailer play. Unfortunately, I can't like do the audio because I'm just gonna guarantee that there's some kind of like DMCA.
Gonna get bopped.
Yeah, this is Overwatch with Tom Clancy characters. I say Overwatch, but it's probably gonna play a little bit slower than Overwatch does. Here's some people talking about how cool their game's probably gonna be, and like. You're in this. It's an arena style battle game, and you got all these different characters. They got all these abilities. I have to say it. I have to say it now. I'm looking at this picture. Look, I'm not a huge Tom Clancy's fanboy or anything, but there was a time where a Tom Clancy game was like a stealth game. What an unstealthy look. For these characters. Tom Clancy's games used to be like I feel like they used to be more like spy kind of games or like
Yeah, there were two main series that I can think of back in the day. There was Rainbow Six, which was like I wouldn't call it necessarily stealthy, but it was a tactical like team-based shooter. You had to like plan your infiltration and stuff like that. And then there was Splinter Cell, which was a stealth game.
That was stealth
for
game.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so Rainbow Six then I guess fits. So it's a tactical game. I don't know. I think the main complaint from people and mine as well is, I just like what a weird direction this series has taken. It's like the weirdest direction.
I mean, they just slapped Tom Clancy on anything.
Oh god,
now.
they do.
Like Ubisoft has the license, and they're just like, we're gonna make a new FPS. All right, make sure you make it Tom Clancy something.
But sir, they're not actually people; they're aliens. Put Tom Clancy.
Also, here's the thing, by the way, that what makes like hero shooters like Overwatch and others work. Usually, the characters with the powers have some like personality. In this, again, you're just like a dude with a gun or a chick with a gun. Like, these characters don't have personality to me.
Yeah, they don't actually. I agree with you 100%.
Like in Overwatch, you have Tracer, you have Lucio, you have Reinhardt. You have these characters that have personality and they're cool and their powers make sense for their personality. In this, again, you're just like a dude, or a chick with a gun and whatever the powers are.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't work at all. I think it's just they would have been better served trying to make a unique hero shooter again with unique characters like Overwatch instead of again trying to slap the Tom Clancy license on it.
Yeah, I'm with you. This has been the weakest part of Ubisoft actually is creating like creativity on characters has actually been really weak for them, in my opinion. Rainbow Six Siege I think works because all the characters they're named characters. I won't say they all look vastly different, but like when you play those games, you have a very good handle on who's who because of names, what they look like because they're different enough, and like when you use them. There's characters that are on attack and on defense. That Rainbow Six Siege it's not like the best, but everybody's unique enough where like okay, this is this character and this is this character. Like there's several Rainbow Six Siege characters. Like there's like oh god, Sledge, who just has a sledgehammer. Like what a, it's like such a dumb name, but like okay, he's the guy with a sledgehammer. Like you know that. You could see the character that way because he's holding a freaking sledgehammer as his like special like equipment ability and things like that. And there's like characters like there's one called Dokubi, and she like hacks your phone systems and stuff and makes it make loud noises and stuff. It's like all those characters they end up being more unique that way, and they do look more unique. Like some of them have like gear that makes them seem unique. This is just like this looks like they said, "Hey, we can I think we can take the division and just make it Overwatch." And somebody
So,
said, "Yeah, do it."
so
Because
time
this
to
this game
kill
looks just like the division, by the way.
time to kill looks really low in this game, which is weird for a hero shooter.
It
But
is. This looks just like the division. I want to point this out. This looks just like the division.
yep,
Obviously the abilities are different, but this looks just like the division. Like the way that it looks in place looks just like it. Which
that's-
I mean, obviously is intentional to a certain extent. Like the Tom Clancy games should have some kind of theme to it, but like I'm looking at this and I keep seeing I'm like, "Oh, that's like that's exactly in the division."
but the
Um
division in has the same problem to me that this game does. Like again, the characters and like the enemies in the division just aren't unique. You're just shooting dudes with
right.
guns.
Yeah.
Like
You're just shooting random guy on the street with a gun. Yeah.
and the boss is a helicopter. It's like, okay. Whereas like with Destiny, you have all these different aliens and, crazy bosses they can come up with for that.
Because it's more in the realm of sci-fi and
Like the Tom Clancy license just to me doesn't work for this kind of game. It's too grounded in reality. It's better to have a unique fantasy setting
right.
that you can kind of do whatever you want with in this with this type of game.
Yeah,
For
the fact that this is grounded in reality, it makes it like really hard, which is why the division has been kind of weak in certain areas like that. Like okay, I'm just going to say like Destiny 2 can cheat because it's sci-fi. You can literally just make shit up and it's fine
yeah,
because it's sci-fi. And with high you can do the same thing with certain levels of fantasy too. Like again, like you can just make shit up and it doesn't matter because it's fantasy. Like Final Fantasy, like it's fantasy style game. Like you can just make shit up and it's fine because it's fantasy. Like you're supposed to think outside the box and suspend disbelief, and you're supposed to like get out of reality. You're supposed to do that. Um, Same thing with Xenoblade. Like Xenoblade can just make shit up like these massive titans, and nobody cares because it's fantasy. Like you shouldn't care. It's supposed to be like that. The division is not supposed to be like this. You're not supposed to see a random dude walking around and you have to shoot him like 100 times to kill him. That's not how it works. So, yeah, it's a huge weakness. I agree with you. It's just silly, in like the worst way possible. Like Destiny 2, when you see some of these enemies, like, oh, that's silly, but in a good way because you're suspending your disbelief. You can't suspend your disbelief too far in Tom Clancy games because they're too grounded in reality.
yeah, it feels to me that Ubisoft is they're kind of like Sony, like they don't want to take any chances. They just like won't take a flyer on a new uh
New
a
IP
new
and
IP, a new series, something unique. They just
yeah,
like, nope, we'll just slap, oh, you have an idea for a game, cool. We'll just slap like a Clancy skin on it. Like, oh, you have this cool unique idea for a new game. Oh, you want to make an Overwatch game? Okay, we'll slap Tom Clancy on
yeah,
it because it's our license. And
yeah.
you know, they do, they have Far Cry, they have Assassin's Creed, they have Tom Clancy, and then they don't have an established like series name, but they have their extreme sports games that they
They have
do.
like a racing game too. They got like the Crew or something like. They've got other stuff, but they're
Yeah.
not as notable. I think.
And I lost it. They have one more that.
Well, they have the Rabbids series now. They have the Mario
Oh
Rabbids
yeah, they
series.
have
I mean, that's
Rabbit.
that's
They have
something, right?
Rabbits.
The Life is Strange is Square, right? So I'm
That's
trying to think
where
of something else that I saw in the Ubisoft one. Um, oh yeah, Watch Dogs. I guess is their other one. Watch Dogs is another one, right? Did you mention Watch Dogs?
I didn't say it,
Yeah.
but that I don't know. Watch Dogs to me is like a modern day Assassin's Creed. Like I don't know. It's a
It
little. a little bit of a ripoff.
It's not exactly, I would say, but like Watch Dogs it's GTA. It's their version of GTA, except it's not as hard. Like GTA goes into the realm of like hard, hard themes, like very
you're like a
hard themes.
gangster. In this,
Yeah,
you're a hacker.
you're a
And
hacker. It's hipster GTA, actually.
hipster GTA. It's
It's
hipster
hipster
GTA.
GTA. GTA, like, again, GTA is a bit more. It's hard. It's like gangster things like that. Um, Watch Dogs is hipster. It's like almost like a completely different direction. That's their response to GTA. It's interesting how like Tom Clancy's they've got like XDefiant, which is this Overwatch arena style shooter. They've got the Rainbow Six game that's like the zombie game. It's a tactical zombie game, right? They've got that one, and they're using the Rainbow Six. It just looks like the Rainbow Six Siege engine, like the exact same thing. Looks like it could just be like an expansion of that. And then like there's a couple other things worth noting now that we're talking about Ubisoft. Unless you want to go even harder down Defiant. Ubisoft delayed a game. It's called Skull and Bones. Ubisoft is like they delayed Skull and Bones. The Riders Republic got delayed, by the way. It was supposed to come out next month, and it's not. It's coming out in October instead. And this game, Skull and Bones, which apparently hasn't been in development for like over 6 years, has been delayed again to 2023.
They announced that game at an E3. I don't even remember a ton of years, like 6, 7 years ago, something like that. And they talked about it a couple of times, and we haven't heard anything about it in a while. I figured it was canceled. To be honest.
Me too. That was the Assassin's Creed Black Flag game, basically, where they took the naval combat and made it a game. That was that. Skull and Bones is that. That has been delayed again, and apparently that's been in like a lot of development trouble. They have the Assassin's Creed. It's like Ubisoft has been actually crapping the bed the last month.
Oh, Just Dance is the other thing they have.
Yeah, Just Dance. Yeah, I forgot about Just Dance. Yeah. Ubisoft has been doing a really bad job this month. This has been a bad, like, overall, like, full 30 days. This has been a bad 30 days for them. They've just had a lot of bad things happen. And I don't know. I don't know how they're going to recover. I really don't at this point, because they're just, like, constantly shitting the bed right now. So they're going to have to figure out some way to make it all up. But Spoon, any other thoughts regarding XDefiant or just like Ubisoft in general? They're just like I haven't heard anything coming out of Ubisoft that's been good for a bit.
Yeah.
Now.
Again, I want to see Ubisoft like take some do a new IP, take some chances. I know they have, they did it with like For Honor, and I guess Skull and Bones is one as well. We haven't had anything about that in forever, and it hasn't quite worked out for them. Maybe they're gun shy, but I'm just tired of seeing the same like recycled bullshit over and over again from Ubisoft. And again, you make a hero shooter and you slap Tom Clancy on it, and it just looks generic and like this. I mean, it'll probably be a perfectly fine, fun game, to be honest, but it just looks really generic, and I'm not interested. Like,
there's another game, by the way, that Ubisoft made. It was the Battle Royale game. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, Hyperscape.
Hyperscape. Yeah, that game, by the way, is. I imagine that game is like in maintenance mode soon.
I'm sure it's
Let me check Hyperscape news. The first thing on Google is Hyperscape dead? Wow.
The game's been out like less than a year, or around a year, I want to say.
Like, I haven't heard anything about this game. I mean, its Reddit is dead. Yeah, like Hyperscape, I imagine, is gonna like get a news post about being in maintenance mode or at some point soon. So okay, move on to Netflix.
Sure.
Okay, let me get rid of some of this. Okay, Netflix. Netflix is planning to offer video games as a part of their subscription model. I think I was gonna say like part of their value proposition, but subscription's better. So they're offering video games as a part of their package, and supposedly, which I think you mentioned this to me, it will come at no extra cost. And
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
it's just going to be a part of the package that you already get, I assume, for the streaming service side. Um, and I think it's a good thing, and it's good to hear that it's not going to come at any extra cost. Though I sincerely doubt that. I imagine that it's going to come out, and then the same year they're going to be like, I'm going to get an email. And it's going to say, we just want to let you know we're going to increase the price of your subscription.
Another $1. Buy another $1.50.
Yeah, or like $2 or something. And I'm just like, wow, what a shock, what a surprise. Like, they're gonna be like, it's at no extra cost to what you already have. But then they're gonna say, okay, but all the other stuff that you already have, we're gonna increase the price $1. They're just gonna they'll do that, and that's what I expect to happen. And if it does, I won't be surprised, nor will I be that upset, to be honest, because they do it all the time anyway. But I think it's a good thing. So far, our cloud gaming services are Google Stadia, which Omega lol, Amazon Luna, Nvidia's version of it, xCloud, which is coming out, and am I missing any?
That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. So I think it's good. Netflix they've more than likely have the infrastructure to sustain it. Their pricing, particularly since the video games are coming with all the TV and films, I think like the incentive to get it's even stronger than just going for like an Amazon Luna. It's definitely stronger than Google Stadia because you don't have to get Google Stadia if you don't get Google Stadia just as bad. But this isn't it's like a nice added value proposition to say, hey, even if you only want the video game side, we're going to give you the films and TV side, and it's all bundled together at the same price. That seems good to me. So I like it. I hope they do it. They do well, and I'll be curious to see what kind of titles, what kind of game publishers work with them. I know Ubisoft will want to do their like Ubisoft Plus thing because they always do, but I'd be curious to see who jumps on board with Netflix and how much my Netflix bill goes up.
Yeah, I mean, this is only good news for people who subscribe to Netflix if it's going to come with no extra cost. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, we'll see. Maybe they will increase the overall price once this comes out, but hopefully not too much. And yeah, we'll just have to see what games and how many games they're able to get on board here, and how it's gonna work, like how it's gonna be integrated into Netflix, because like there need to be a way to like connect a controller to Netflix. I think like the PC, obviously you could just use keyboard and mouse if you want to do that, but there would need to be a way if you're using Netflix like on a smart TV or something like that to like connect a controller or some sort of control device to it.
Yeah, you're right.
A freaking TV remote to control a video game, that would be absurd.
Yeah.
So
I'm guessing they're thinking of that for sure. It's just a matter of how it gets implemented.
Yeah, so they'll need some infrastructure on that, but and yeah, we'll just see what games and how many games they're gonna offer.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt in my mind that they're figuring that out. Particularly with smart TVs, like with computer, it's a no brainer. My assumption would have been that for smart TVs they would because with Google, what they did is they had like their Chromecast allowed you to connect with their own controller. And I don't know how it worked with like third-party controllers. With Netflix, I feel like they'd have to, with smart TVs, think of some way to connect the controller in such a way where it's like they have to figure out wireless for sure. And I don't know if they're going to come out with their own like separate.
Yeah, I don't want to buy.
Need this device.
I don't want to buy a freaking Netflix controller. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, or like a device where like, hey, if you connect this on your TV, it will connect to whatever controller you have, type deal. That's wireless. I don't know how they're gonna do that, but the computer side is easy. The hard part is figuring out the smart TVs and smart boxes and like for example Roku. Like my guess is it probably
And
won't work if you're using Roku, but if you're using a smart TV or a computer, they'll probably have a system set up for that. But if I'm using like a Roku device, for example, or like an Apple device, I'm just gonna go ahead and assume it won't work.
yeah,
That's what my assumption will be.
yeah. Basically, they're just gonna need to figure it out for any device that doesn't, isn't doesn't have gaming capabilities, so that it doesn't have any controller integration built in. So they
Right.
need to figure that out.
Yeah, that's
And
gonna
maybe it
be
won't just
something.
won't work. Maybe it just won't work on those devices, and it'll be very limited. We'll
Yeah,
see.
I
Um,
that's my guess. But if it does work, that's great. So
but I feel like they, at least for smart TVs, they need to figure out a way to
yes,
make it work on
they
a
do.
smart TV, because
They do.
they're gonna lose a lot of like potential like service if
Yeah,
they don't make it work on smart
they
TVs.
need to make it work on smart TVs and on the computers for sure. The computers will be easy. Smart TVs, I don't know. Okay. Any other stuff? Otherwise, we'll move to the Gundam stuff. To Gundam.
Yeah, I just want to respond to what Hectic's saying in
Go
the
ahead.
chat. I mean, yeah, it's we talked about already, but from what we're seeing, this is nothing but good news. It's like if you have a Netflix subscription service, you're gonna get games added to your as part of your subscription at no additional cost, as far as we know so far. So it's good.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move to our next bit. So Overwatch is coming out with a DLC. It's called Gundam Evolution. Um, it's a really interesting. It's the first Overwatch related content we've ever seen, and they must have partnered with the Gundam folks. It's very exciting.
Yeah, Sunrise and Bandai Namco.
Sunrise and Bandai Namco are working with Overwatch. I'm just gonna stop right here. Are you serious? Hectic's in here. Hectic, notice anything?
Yeah, I hadn't actually paused it. Even like the alt symbol looks exactly the fucking same as Overwatch.
I'm not even like. The thing is, I'm not upset about it at all. I'm just like, are you serious? Like, this is the most like blatant copy and paste of a UI I've ever seen. Obviously, like the game itself, there's going to be some parts of it that are different.
I mean, they got some payload pushing going on here,
And the
though, as you can
payload
see
push
from
looks
like the
exactly the
objective.
same. Yeah, it looks
Like,
exactly the. Wait, no, it's
no,
not
no,
DLC. This is
no,
not
this is
DLC.
this is Gundam. This is Gundam Overwatch. Bandai Namco has decided they're going to carbon copy Overwatch and put Gundam, like, make it a Gundam game, basically.
Yeah, they basically took Overwatch and put Gundams in it. Which again, it's not strictly bad. I think that like it works pretty well in that environment. The Also, it's not just Gundams. Obviously, there's like mobile suits, and I saw like what looked like the ball as a playable thing. It looked very small. I was like, why is this a playable suit? Um,
Yeah. They took Overwatch and they put the Gundam license on it and used like mobile suits and Gundams as the playable characters.
Oop, I need
Okay,
to mute
cool.
that. I'm not sure if we're gonna get the. Yeah, this thing. What the frick is this? Why is this a playable thing? Oh, okay. It actually turns into the suit. Okay, I was like, what is that? Um, so you get like they showcased several suits, and again, like I I was just laughing because like it just like looks exactly the same as Overwatch, but like it's a good thing to copy. It is for Gundam. I think it's a good idea to copy because Gundam, you got yeah this like plethora of iconic mobile suits at your disposal to use, and the fans know they're unique enough where they're like very, you know, obvious to use in some kind of environment like this, as opposed to like Tom Clancy's XDefiant. Um,
I find it interesting where like all the suits they showed except the last one were the original Gundam timeline, the
mm-hmm.
Universal Century, and then they just had Barbatos from Iron Blooded Orphans. So I'm like, okay, cool. Yes.
I'm like, okay. I mean, it's not like.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, it's kind of a pure melee suit, so
Mm-hmm.
like a melee character.
Yeah,
Um,
they got to put melee suits in here. Obviously, you have to. You can't just have everything be ranged. Like, there's got to be a mixture. Otherwise, it's just a little bit silly. Particularly when you're dealing with like payloads and stuff. Um, Spoon, Gundam Evolution. Number one
I,
is just coming to the West. Actually,
yeah, the Twitter's all in Japanese right now, so we don't know for sure if it's coming to the West yet. Um, if it does, I doubt it'll pick up much steam in the West, but this will probably be pretty popular in the East, especially Japan, because
yeah.
Gundam is very like the Gundam versus franchise, the Extreme Versus series is like the most popular like competitive like game, or it's the most popular like fighting game over there, like in Japan and like
Oh,
in the
okay.
East in general. The yeah, that that series is incredibly popular. Um, I mean, I don't think. Well, I don't think maybe Blizzard could try and sue over this, but they. I mean, yeah, they copied the game, but does Blizzard have the rights to the idea of like Overwatch, or like the gameplay mechanics? I don't think so. Like,
They'd have to argue that it's a literal copy and paste job, and in this case, I don't think it's quite literally copy and paste. That being said, that UI,
yeah, the UI is pretty bad. Like they should have changed the UI. Like, come on.
it's pretty obvious that they just made it the same. Not the same, but like 90. Can we say 95%? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
95%.
95%.
I mean,
So
I'm like Overwatch was cool, and it's a Gundam game, and I love Gundam, so I'll probably try this, but if it comes out in the West, but I probably won't get super into it because it's like purely a competitive game, and generally I mostly play single player games and stuff like that.
yeah.
But I mean, it's an interesting idea. It's a cool idea. Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's right. The temporary health colors like armor is yellow in Overwatch. Like armor is yellow. Yeah, and like
I do think they need to do something about the HUD and change it to make it
they
look
do.
different from Overwatch. Like just at least like change like the color or just the placement of where things are, and like please don't make the HUD literally the exact same thing as Overwatch. It just makes it just is a bad look.
Yeah,
Like
it's like me personally, I honestly don't care that it's the exact same. I just think it's funny. But like, yeah, it's not a good look. Actually, it really isn't a good look overall. It's just like, okay, you
like
guys
hey
like
guys,
copy and
we
pasted.
we copied Overwatch and put a Gundam skin on it. I hope you like it.
And it's like people are like, okay, we like it, but could you have had any additional integrity and made it somewhat different? Like it, yeah, it's definitely bad. I'm Yeah, and the first thing someone commented is, "Hey, look, Overwatch." Hey, look, it's Overwatch. It's just like actually just like kind of funny. So
Yeah, it's like I'm kind of wondering if like, man, did people who worked on Overwatch come over and like make like because like
I don't
did
know.
the UI designer from Overwatch, are they working on this game? Because fucking hell, it's the same thing.
It
Like,
really is. It's again strictly. I personally don't think it's that. I don't think it's bad at all. Like I just think it's funny. But yeah, like if there's enough similarity, it's not a good look, and Blizzard might get unhappy. They might be unhappy with that. We'll see. I mean, Activision doesn't really care too much about Overwatch at this point. I don't know how much they actually care about it at this point. It's like I really don't. I like Activision's baby is currently Warzone, so I don't know. Like I'm interested how much I'd be interested to see how much Activision is still like really pushing Overwatch by comparison to like a couple years ago. I don't think it's the same as before. So I don't know. Maybe they just don't give a shit. We'll see.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. Again, it's a fine idea. Like for the Gundam license, I don't know. Some part of me was just a little disappointed. I'm like, really, you're just gonna copy Overwatch? You're not gonna do something like you can do so much with the Gundam license. Like it's a really cool license, and there's a lot of franchises. So there's like 40 years of history to pull from, and you're just gonna carbon copy Overwatch. All right, cool.
The
Like,
idea of Overwatch would have been fine. Like just the idea of how that plays as a game.
but like
The
put a more Gundam spin on it. Like,
right,
I guess
like
like
payload on a Gundam game is offensive
yeah,
to me for some reason.
yeah,
And I'm not even
kind
a
of
huge like
silly.
massive Gundam fan. And I'm like, payload? Really? Like, come on.
It,
Payload?
they really should have like at least tried to bring more Gundam like just more Gundam ideas into at least like the game modes and stuff like that instead of just like we're just gonna have payload and like king of the hill or like zone control whatever the hell they call it. um,
It's just
yeah
yeah, payload is a silly concept when you're in space. Very silly concept in space.
or in like giant 30-foot mechs
Yeah,
like
very silly. So, like with Overwatch, okay, fine. They're like their characters ground level. They need to move like a something across some kind of place. Yeah, maybe I could see that happening. Like a little bit like a train, like a convoy. You move the convoy. In like Gundam, having like an on ground convoy to move, it's like it's like weird. It's silly. It's like, well, wouldn't it be more like in But I don't know. Hopefully, it makes more sense when the actual game is played. Like why they do the payload. I hope it makes sense because this is. Didn't you say this is like their game that they made as an esport? Which, by the way, it's very clear that they did. Um,
that's my guess. I didn't see that said specifically, but we talked about last week. Apparently, Bandai. We had heard that Bandai Namco was working on some new Gundam esports game, and
this
I
is
mean,
it.
to me, this is it. Like,
Yeah,
it's a freaking Overwatch clone. This has to be it,
this is
right?
it. Yeah,
Like,
no, this is it 100%. Um, yeah, I I'm more excited about the like Super Robot Wars thing than this. I'm just that seems more intriguing. Because it's like a very simple thing that's coming over more quickly and there more work is being put. This is like I don't see this coming to the West unless like a miracle. I don't want to say miracle, but unless Western communities are just like getting fucking psyched, and it's not anything against Gundam. It's just like yeah, the West isn't as excited as the East regarding Gundam. This is what it is. But
yeah,
I mean, if it does well in like Japan, if it picks up steam in some of the other surrounding countries there, maybe there's a place for this, and maybe eventually the West develops this like a small. There's like a small niche, and they like port it over the West. Maybe they do, if they see like a lot of support East for it. But for now, the West is going to see this. It's going to go. Okay, this is Overwatch. If I'm a Gundam fan, yeah, I'll play it. But if I'm not, like, why wouldn't I just play Overwatch?
why would not just play Overwatch?
Exactly. It's like this is more established right now for us, so it's tough. You got to figure out why you would be pulled, and the only reason at the moment I can see is if you're a Gundam fan and you really like enjoy the license, you'd probably play this over Overwatch. Um. So, okay. Any other stuff regarding Gundam Overwatch Evolution?
Nope.
Okay. You put this one on here. I literally don't even understand this. You're gonna have to go and explain this because I don't know. I don't know what happened here.
So remember, I think the last time we talked about Humankind for the beta, the closed beta.
Yeah.
How I told you that a bunch of people were complaining that the performance was really bad and like the load times were really bad.
Yeah.
On the closed beta.
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently, the reason for that is because in the closed beta they were testing this software that is known as Denuvo, which is a software. Basically, it's something that like runs in the background and it requires an always online connection, and it makes sure that it collects information about your system and it makes sure that you like have the license to the game and
I see. Okay.
and apparently that is what was causing the performance issues in the closed beta. And when people found out that that was the reason and that they had implemented this, there were a lot of people like on the forums and on Steam and around the internet that were pissed.
Yeah.
There were people on the forums that were saying like, yeah, I cancel my pre-order or I'm not going to buy this game anymore because you implemented this awful DRM service that people like hate basically, and it it runs in the background of your computer. There's no apparently with this, if you even if you uninstall the game, it doesn't like fully uninstall this bullshit, and it's just
Oh,
like it's
and
awful.
this was a part of the one that I missed, right?
The one you missed, yeah,
Okay.
the closed beta.
Okay.
And yeah, people were pissed about this.
Yeah.
Basically, they're like, yeah, this is like, they're like, if this is in the final product, I will not buy the game. Um, and basically, there was this long thread about this.
Mm-hmm.
It was started by
I think okay.
some dude on the forums who apparently is a huge Amplitude fan. Like their favorite game is Endless Legend, and they like always pre-order Amplitude games. They love all of Amplitude stuff, and they're like, yeah, I'm not gonna buy Humankind anymore because of this. And then within that thread, a little ways down, there was a response from the I don't know, CEO or like the head of the studio. I think
Yeah, I think
I
it's
forget his
is it
name.
this?
He's a yeah, it's that,
Okay,
yeah.
let me zoom in, but
Um,
keep going.
and he basically said like, thanks for your feedback. And he explained, we were testing this during the closed beta. We want to protect the integrity and the sales of their launch because another thing he said in this, by the way, is apparently Humankind is like one of the most wishlisted games on Steam this year.
Oh, really?
So I would assume they're projecting actually pretty big sales for this game at this point because
Mm-hmm.
it's apparently garnered quite a following, at least from people wishlisting it on Steam.
Okay.
Um, and they just wanted to protect, their sales. They didn't, want the game being pirated, which makes sense. But in the end, they were like, "Yeah, we tested it and we saw the performance dips. We've seen your complaints, and basically, we won't be able to fix it before launch." So they're taking it out. They're like, "Yeah, it isn't worth it for us. We would much rather provide a much higher quality game with better performance quality over this
Yeah.
basically." So they decided to take it out, and it's not going to be in the game at launch.
I found the
um
forum post, by the way. This
yeah,
person, I don't know how big this guy G2G points, okay? I'm just looking at this person's G2G points, okay? 59,000. And I'm looking at it.
I have like 18,000, by the way, and I
Yeah.
don't do that much on
So
forums.
but
So
like the other people here have like 18,000, something like that. This guy's 59,000. So very clear that this person obviously is a fan. This is the one you were talking about, right?
yeah, that's the
He's
guy that started
obviously
the
a fan.
thread.
And by the way, apparently after all that happened, he or she re-upped. So
Yeah, and they changed the title of the thread was like how Amplitude broke my heart, and then after this post they changed the title to like how Amplitude broke my heart, and
and
then
how they
like
reassemble it. Yep.
reassembled it. Yeah, that's what they said.
So okay. Well, here's my thoughts. Number one, I just like, oh, man, I distinctly recall like in Genshin's past this happened too. Not like a DRM, but there was like this weird thing running in the background for Genshin, and people complained about it, and like other games like having things run in the background. Ubisoft actually does this. They have like this anti-cheat engine that constantly they force you to install and have you run when you play the game and things like that. That being said, I don't know who decided like okay, this feels like my biggest question is did you implemented this DRM? Did you test it ever? Because I feel like the instant you would have tested it, you would have realized a performance change. So I'm a little bit concerned about Amplitude. I'm a little concerned how much they actually test things when they implement them, because you implement a DRM and then you would test it. I imagine you would test your build before you actually put it out there for people to play with. If it's a performance issue and it's causing performance problems, I feel like you would have caught it in your tests and you would have unimplemented it or you would have adjusted it beforehand. So my question is, how did you not catch it? Why did you think it was a good idea? And now my biggest question is, do you test things? Like how much do you test things like this?
And
Because a
to
DRM
me,
that goes in the background of your system, kind of a big deal. So, uh,
I mean, this to me reeks of like Sega being like, "Hey, we want you to try this out on your game, and we want you
yeah,
to use this because you know." And the other thing that I've seen people saying about this is that like people who are gonna buy the game are gonna buy the game, and people who are gonna pirate are gonna pirate.
yeah.
Like a pirate is gonna pirate, whether you're gonna have this or not. They're gonna try. They're gonna find a way around it eventually. If they don't, they're just not gonna play the game. They're not gonna purchase it legally.
Hmm.
Um, and basically, people are arguing that like this doesn't. This actually hurts your sales because when people notice it, stuff like this happens. People are like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna buy this game because you put this bullshit. You put this bullshit in it," and it
Yeah.
doesn't like.
Does
Yeah,
now
and
this?
basically, yeah, pirates
Yeah.
are not gonna buy the game. They're just gonna find a way to pirate it,
Yeah.
and whatever.
I have a question. I actually don't know the answer, so I'm asking you because maybe I don't know if you might. So the DRM, it would require you'd have to be online all the time, basically. It's what it's
I think
asking
so.
for. So
I think so.
with
Yeah.
Civ, does Civ have something where you have to be online all the time, or can you go offline? Because
I
I
have
mean, you have
no
to be
idea.
logged into Steam, so you, to some extent, you have to have Steam available to you to some degree. But I just don't understand why you would need to set up a system like this where and then like forcing people to be online only all the time for a game like Humankind. For a game like Overwatch, you kind of have to be online for that. Like it's a requirement. It's a multiplayer game that's required. Humankind isn't. Humankind can be played single player. It doesn't really work the same way. It's like I could see Sega coming in and saying, "Hey, we want to mitigate piracy of this game that's clearly popular enough to be like one of the most wish listed items on Steam. We want to make sure that we get every dollar that counts, and we don't want people pirating this game. So put this in there." And Amplitude obviously has to say yes. They
Yeah,
they
because
can't
Sega's the publisher. They
unless
can't
you
really
got
say
a
no.
yeah unless you got a real damn good reason. You don't say no. And but again, like I'm still curious. Like even if Sega forced you to do it, I don't know. You would have tested it, and if you saw a performance issue, like I don't know. It feels a little odd that like they didn't say anything about it beforehand. Did they say anything about this beforehand before they released
No,
this?
no, and
Okay.
yeah, that's some other people on the forums were saying that like, okay, yeah, they took it out, but they still kind of like went behind our backs and put it in,
Yeah.
and like anyone who played the closed beta was like exposed to it basically, and it's like, okay, this was kind of shady regardless. So there's definitely some of that still, but most of the posts after the the take backsies on this were like, "Thank you, Amplitude. I'm definitely like pre-ordering the game now," or like, I'm getting my friend to pre-order the game now, etc., etc.
Here,
So
I'm just gonna read some quotes from it. It says like, "We've been one of the most wishlisted games on Steam this year. We know we're gonna be the targeted by pirates. If Denuvo can hold off a cracked version even just for a few days, that can really help us to protect our launch." So that like was the concern then based on this that like people were gonna get a version of the game before launch? I'm like,
know that like, again, someone was gonna get a cracked version of the game and distribute it on some pirating site, and they're gonna lose sales because people are gonna pirate it instead of actually paying for the game.
oh, okay,
But again, like if there's someone who's gonna like pirates are gonna pirate, and people who are gonna buy the game are gonna buy the game, right? Like
yeah,
I never pirate games. I always buy games.
right,
So yeah.
okay. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not excited about the logic that they gave, but you know what? My guess is, as you said, Sega probably came in over the shoulder and said, "Hey, we want to make sure
Where
that we get all our sales." So
they're like we're if they're seeing very high wishlist numbers on Steam and they're like, "Oh, okay, this is actually like much more popular than we thought it was going to be. We
yeah,
want to make sure we get every dollar we can squeeze out of this." Also, they have had multiple delays at this point, so I'm sure Sega is chomping at the bit to get this game out there.
oh,
Basically, they're
absolutely.
like, "All right, it's time for this shit to come out." Like,
Oh yeah, say Big Daddy Sega is over here like, "Hey, like this looks popular. Why don't we put this DRM in to make sure we get all our sales?" Yeah. The developer still should have said something beforehand. That would have been beneficial, particularly when it's something that runs in the background of your system. Um, Especially something also that's hard to uninstall, by the way. And obviously, good for apologizing, good for removing it, but yeah, be yeah, be more transparent, please. That would be great. And Sega, leave it alone. Sega, like calm down, Sega. I understand you want your cash, but calm down. Calm down, Sega. Calm down.
Yeah. I mean, I was excited to see the part of that statement that said like this is one of the highest wish listed games on Steam. Like, really, that's interesting to me because this to me is like a pretty darn niche game because
Mm.
it's a freaking 4X strategy game. But I guess Civ's really popular, so I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe people are seeing it and
Yeah.
they're liking it. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I mean, like they pointed out because my guess is somebody could make a logic leap and go, oh, so somebody's trying to protect their sales because there is a lot of interest. Got it. So, yeah, should have said something beforehand though. That would have been
yeah,
that would have been the appropriate thing to do.
yeah, I agree. It was a little shady at the outset, but again, I'm glad they came out and explained themselves and then took it back
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Um,
I'm with you there. Okay, the only thing we got left is Pokemon Unite. That came out today. You've tried the tutorial, but you
yeah,
haven't
I
played more
played.
than that.
Yeah, well, I played the tutorial and then like the tutorial like match that they make you play
Okay,
basically. So
so now I can say not much. Um,
streamers have been playing it. Like I was watching Grubby. Grubby was playing it earlier, and I was watching him play it a little
okay,
bit too.
what are
So
your impressions watching it?
um, it looks fun. Like the game actually looks pretty fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
the matches are short. It's a 10-minute time limit on every match.
Okay, so it's a time limit. Like the game
Yeah,
just ends no matter what at 10.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, I mean, yeah, I don't know what else. Like the map is like very small. It's very focused around just like fighting. Basically, there's no real minions. There's like jungle camps basically that help you get the points. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so basically, like, you collect these points from either killing enemy players or jungle camps, and then you have to go to one of the enemies they're the equivalent of towers, but they don't shoot at you. There's like their goals basically, and you have to like you dunk the freaking points in the goal
Okay.
basically. And and like that's how you score basically.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like two lanes like around the outside, and then a center area with a bunch of jungle camps. And yeah, it's mostly about fighting. There's a pretty good variety of Pokemon to choose from. There's like range, there's melee, offense, defense, support, what you kind of expect
Yeah.
from a MOBA. The one thing I'll say that I've noticed is all the matches I've seen are very one-sided. Like one team smashes the other one completely. Like I haven't seen a close match yet. Like they're all
Okay.
just like complete blowouts.
How
Um,
long did you watch for just to get a frame of reference? Like an hour,
mm,
30 minutes?
I mean, yeah, maybe like half an hour, and then like I was playing Genshin and like had it on at the side
Okay,
at the
so
same time as
at
well. So
least
there were
three
times when
games, right?
I wasn't like fully paying attention all the time,
Yeah,
but like
sure.
yeah, I watched a couple, like two,
Okay.
3 games at
Okay,
least.
so first impression is like teams were getting smacked. There was no close games. Teams were getting smacked. Okay.
Yep,
How many people per team go in? Five or
five.
three? Five. Okay. Five go in. What's the list of Pokemon? How many characters do you get to choose from? Do you know?
I mean, you only start with like two or three, and then there's like a three or four like free rotation going on, and then there's a bunch of others that you can unlock. I mean, it's a free to play game,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah,
have
but
to
what's
like
how many is the max? Like, is there like 50 characters?
I want to say it's like 20,
Okay,
20 or
but
25 maybe.
you only get two or three to start.
Yeah, at the start, yeah.
What are the two or three?
You get to pick one from between like 5 or 6. I think it's like
Okay.
Charizard, Pikachu.
Oh, you just get the evolved form of Charizard? You just get that? Or do you start as
Well, what
Charmander?
you
And
start as
yeah, okay.
Charmander at the
Okay,
beginning of the
okay,
match, but they
okay.
always show the fully evolved form.
Gotcha.
I don't know. There's a like once you complete the tutorial, there's a choice between 5 or 6 that you get to pick one, and then you get like Slowbro for free, I think, and you get Zorora for free as well, and then
Okay.
there's a couple of others you can unlock for free through the account level, and then the daily login bonus for the first 14 days, I think, or something like that. So I think
Okay.
you can end up locking like 5. I think you can end up unlocking like 5 to 7 for free.
That's not bad.
Um,
That's not bad, actually. That's not bad. I thought like two or
and,
I was about to say 2 or 3 is like freaking terrible, but
and
5 or
then
so would
and
be that bad.
like it's gonna take time to unlock all of the free ones.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
then obviously you gain the gold, whatever the resources, and then you can buy them out of the shop. Um,
yeah. So no minions. You just sort of like dunk points and fight other people, but you also like fight jungle camps, quote unquote.
yeah,
Um, you just like fight other people and you dunk points. So yeah, okay.
yeah.
It's
Every Pokemon has like 2 basic abilities and then an ult. You get your ult at level 10, and at level 5 and 7, I think you get to choose like an upgrade to your basic abilities.
okay.
So where you get like there's a branching choice where like okay, I start with what did they call it? Like I think for Charmander you started with Fire Spin, which could then be upgraded to either Flare Blitz or Fire Blast, and then you had another like I think they call it like Flare Burst or something
Okay.
that could be upgraded to Fire Punch or Flamethrower. So
Okay. A close range or far range attack.
yeah. Um and every Pokemon like has that with your 2 basic abilities. Like at level 5 and 7 they get an upgrade. And then yeah, when you start the match, you start with the if it's a Pokemon that evolves, you start at the base at level 1. They seem to most evolve at like level 5 and then level 10, I think, to like so you get Charmeleon at 5 and then Charizard at 10.
Yeah.
So but there's some that just stay as the same Pokemon that only have like some that only have one evolution and some that stays like Pikachu is I don't think you get Raichu, it's just Pikachu the whole
It's just
time.
Pikachu the whole
So
time, which
yeah.
may be
And
a
there's like
I don't know.
There's Snorlax as well. Um
Okay. Interesting. It's yeah. I mean, like, hmm. It's a MOBA, but very dumb. Like the ultimate dumbing down of a MOBA. It's like what's the lowest level of MOBA we can get to call it a MOBA?
yeah,
Let's
and
remove the minions.
it's only on Switch right now too, so
Yeah,
you can't play like keyboard and mouse. You have to play with the
yeah.
controller.
It's it's like there's no minions. There's jungle camps, which is okay, and you just attack other people for the most part. Given the objective is like dunking points into a specific spot. It's like
Yeah, and the respawn times, especially early in the match, are really short. There's like if you die within the first couple of minutes of the match, you respawn in like 3 seconds or something like that.
yeah.
It's like
I mean,
back
because the
up.
game's so short, like you
But if you
can't.
die if you die near the end, it's like 20 seconds. It does get long near the end.
Yeah,
It's
of
like 20
course, it
seconds or
has
something
to.
like
Yeah, it
that.
has
But
to. Okay, I mean, it sounds interesting. Like I'll definitely try it,
I
but
mean, it's worth trying. Yeah,
it's
it's
worth trying. It's
free,
free. It's
and
worth
you can
trying.
just download it. It's like I thought it was pretty fun. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely try it at some point. Um, I mean, if you download early, I guess you get like a little like I guess you get like a bonus like Zoroark or whatever was like a
oh yeah,
early bonus. So it's worth downloading the game early then. Um, okay, interesting. I'll definitely give it a shot
yeah.
for sure.
Again, I think it's cool. I think it's fun. Like we can maybe get some people together and play a little bit if we want to.
Oh
Um,
God, hold on. How's the internet?
but
How's the internet?
I mean, I didn't play online yet, so I don't know. But like from what I saw, like I didn't see any lag from Grubby playing. Basically,
So there's no internet issues. You think That's shocking to me, by the way. I'm shocked. Because you know what?
The game wasn't developed by Nintendo. Maybe this whoever the developer was actually knows how to program fucking netcode and make
Thank
their
God.
online not complete dog shit.
Thank God. Because, like, that's a fundamental issue with, especially with a MOBA game. Like, if you get lag in a MOBA game, that's like, it's a pure death sentence. It's not like getting lag in Mario Golf. It's just, so, yeah. I'll definitely download it and give it a shot. That's for sure what I would like to do. And who knows how interested I'll be in it though, because it seems like so dumbed down. It's like how much more can you get from the baseline? So we'll.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Ghost said it earlier. All the games are just like complete fiestas, just like everyone's fighting all the time.
Yeah.
You see a lot of people just like trying to frickin' 1v, like they'll just dive into your whole team and try to like 1v5 you and just die, and you're like, all right, you're an idiot. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
and I'm
Yeah.
sure you're gonna get a lot of people like kids playing this game basically who just don't know what they're doing basically.
Yeah. I mean that's to be expected. My question is just like where's the complexity peak? Because like the complexity peaks at a very high level in certain MOBAs, like League of Legends, Dota, even Heroes. Like the complexity of the game peaks at a certain point, and
I mean,
it's
there's
just like
gonna be
how high does that peak?
there's gonna be a little bit of strategy to this game, but I don't think there's a lot. I think this is more of a fun pick up and play. I don't see this game being like having an esports scene or anything like that. I don't think it's gonna be complex or like
Right.
interesting enough
Well,
for that.
it doesn't have to have an esports scene, but it needs to be complex enough where somebody can boot it up and go, okay, I'm gonna get something interesting today, and I'm gonna maybe get a little bit of tactics and strategy going with this game. If it's just a clusterfuck every game, I can guarantee you I will be bored as hell. Because I played HOTS in bronze and silver tier, and you can bet your ass that was the most boring gameplay I've ever experienced. Because everybody didn't know what they were doing. Literally everybody was completely oblivious to what they were doing. So it has to be better than that. That is my expectation. Especially if I'm trying to like be decent at the game. Like I can just run into a full team 1v5. Like I could do that. If I want to do that, I'll just make an account on a new account in HOTS, and I'll just do that.
Ranked does exist in this game as well, just so you know.
And I hope it's more interesting than Clown Fiesta. That's all that I hope.
I mean, from what I saw on Grubby's stream, it wasn't, but he was at low rank.
He's
still,
at low rank.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't expect much there. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I mean, the game is fun to play, and it looks fun to play. But yeah, I agree with you. We'll see how much staying power it has with the complexity, and if my biggest question about it right now is like, as I said, every match that I saw was a blowout. I did not see a competitive game. Like one way or the other, one team blew out the other.
That's
Either
not.
Like Grubby's team got completely crushed, or it's like 800 to 50 or something at the end of the game. It's like a complete fucking smash.
Yeah, that's
like
that sounds boring. It's just like if every game is like a SmackDown, that's boring. Like it's like watching every baseball game as a SmackDown. Do you really want that? Probably not. If the World Series of Baseball was just a SmackDown every single time, you'd probably get bored. So it has to be there has to be okay, there's going to be blowouts. We know that. There's going to be but it can't just be like blowouts all the time. There's got to be like a middle ground somewhere in there where there's like, hey, there's going to be some close games here and there. It can't be all blowouts. That would, I'm going to be honest, that would be boring. I'd just get bored and annoyed and I'd move on. Because there has to be some element of like strategy to make it a close game. But if every game's a blowout, there's no strategy anymore.
Yeah, but again, it looks like a fun and easy game to just like pick up and play for a little bit because the matches are so short. They're only 10 minutes. It's like you just hop in, play a game or two, and like be done. Basically, It's perfect MOBA for like the Switch. Honestly, on the go, you're maybe not gonna have an internet connection, but if you do have an internet connection, like it's a cool game to play on the go.
Yeah, definitely built for mobile. That's for sure. Built for mobile. 10 minutes. So, okay, cool. I'll try it. But I will tell you right now, if in my first 5 games everyone's a blowout, I'm immediately going to drop it. It's like, oh, okay, that was fun. I'm done. I'm sure this game has complexity, but I'm going to wait a month and see what the complexity becomes. And it's just like I don't want to play a game with all blowouts. That this just doesn't seem very fun. For me too. Like if I get blown out, that would suck. Just be like, okay, well, what am I doing here? It's like in HOTS when you get blown out. At a certain point, it's like there's not much we can do. We're just gonna sit here and wait for the timer to go down. I hope it's better than in League though, where it's like when you're gonna like when you're gonna lose in League sometimes after like 5 minutes. Something like occasionally it's like it's 5 minutes, I've lost. It's like let's hope it's better than that. It's like, oh, it's been 2 minutes.
The only thing I was saying, there didn't seem to be like HOTS had actually like decent comeback potential. It was like hard, but you could do it.
You could, yeah.
League there's some but very little comeback potential in my opinion. Again, there's those games in League where, as you said, within the first like 5 minutes, you're like, well, this shit's over. FF15, like let's move on. This game didn't seem to have a lot of comeback potential to me, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's not good. There needs to be some like League doesn't happen, but they've gotten away with it because League does certain things the right way. But this game needs to have it. I think it can't just be all blowouts where if you know you're down, you're always down. That doesn't seem very fun. It's just like it becomes more hopeless than hopeful, and that's like I don't want to play a game like that. That doesn't seem very fun. So,
but yeah, I still think it's worth like checking out, giving it a try, and like let's get the gang together and
we'll try a few games for sure.
Play some games together as well. Like get a team together.
Yeah, no, I'm down. I'm 100% down. I'll try it for sure. I'll download and try it at some point when I'm not doing other things like that I have currently slated. Okay. Speaking of other things, can I get
it's time for New World.
5 to 10 minutes maybe? Maybe I'm gonna try 5.
Take as long as you want because I don't know what else we have. Well, we can talk about Genshin 2.0 a little bit.
I can't. I think I actually have to do quests to get to Inazuma.
Yeah, so do I. Like that's what I was doing too. Like I booted up and played it today, but I was like 2 like story quests behind, so I'm like in the middle of like.
My only comment with Genshin is my luck is going down. I've done 7 10 pulls and haven't gotten the 5-star. I've banked and I haven't gotten it, and I ran out of pulls.
You're pulling for Ayaka?
I am, and I ran out after 7 10 pulls.
I'm waiting for the Archer.
Oh, you're waiting for the Archer, the Fire Archer, for Amber 2.0?
Well, she's gonna be better. She's gonna be an actual Fire Archer instead of a pile of crap.
Yeah, Amber 2.0. Yeah, Amber 2.0. Yep. But I was trying to pull for the Cryo one. And yeah, it'll be up for like 2 weeks, so I might get like 1 or 2 more 10 pulls in, and that'll be pity. But yeah, my luck's going down. Spoon, I don't know what's going on. My lucky rabbit's foot's running out.
Wow, you can't get literally every character that you want in a gacha game. Welcome to the rest of us. Thank you.
It's frustrating. It's really frustrating, Spoon. I'm glad you're being supportive though. Thank you. That's all I have to say is I was real depressed. I was like, oh well. Maybe I'll get 1 more 10 pull, and if I don't get that one, I guess I'll get the Fire Archer.
welcome to me when I was pulling on the Albedo, and then the Ganyu banners. When I pulled for Albedo, and then I finally got I'm pretty sure I got to pity, or at least the soft pity at like 70 or 80, and then I forget who I got, like Jean or I think
that's right. I got the other one.
I got Kaching, I think,
yeah.
And then I did get Ganyu, but that's because that was guaranteed. But I'm pretty sure I got close to pity again on that one. So, yeah.
So the coin flip is in my favor. I'm guaranteed to get the banner character. It's
you're guaranteed to get. You're guaranteed.
Coin flip's in my favor. Yep. Yeah. Which is good.
Well, it's not a coin. It's not a coin flip. It's a guarantee.
No, it's a weighted coin. It's just always heads now. It's a weighted coin now. The weighted coin is in my favor. Mm-hmm. It was a coin, and then I weighted it. That's what happened. Yeah. And it always comes heads now. So hopefully I can get two more 10 pulls. I think I can get 2 10 pulls in 2 weeks if I'm lucky. But we'll see. Okay, New World. I'll try. I know we have all the time in the world, but I don't want to take it. So New World is an MMO game, and it's not a weeb MMO. So any weebs out there, you can go to sleep now. Go ahead and get some rest. It's not FF14, so take a break, take a rest. It's a non-weeb fantasy game that's set in like a colonial time. and I find it to be very interesting. I think, and I've even clawed. I think Hectic was interested before. I think he's guaranteed to get the game now. So the way that the game is played is you are a I actually don't know what your character is specifically, but I'm just going to say a pirate. Your character is a pirate that washes ashore on a mysterious land. It's a fantasy world. There's skeletons, there's zombies, it looks like corrupted creatures. There's like some kind of corruption on the island, and your goal is to try and like there's two goals in this game. There's a faction goal, and then there's like get the corruption out of the island. Let's start with the faction side because that's mostly what you do at the beginning of the game. So at the very beginning of the game, you're just doing MMO quests. Boring as hell. Pretty much just like kill 5 boars or kill 5 wolves. Okay, it's boring as fuck. But the uniqueness of the game is that it is a survival game that is also an MMO. And so like you're harvesting like lumber, ores, all these different things, okay? And there's like a nicely implemented crafting system that takes advantage of this. Now, the MMO side of the game with the factions, there are 3 factions to choose from. There's the Marauders, the Covenant, and I don't remember, the Sovereign or something. I really don't remember. At a certain level, you pick one, and then you are dedicated to that faction for the rest of your character's playthrough. Hectic and I unfortunately picked the worst faction. The faction is behind by a lot. There's like the Marauders faction's ahead by a lot. And then what you do is once you have your faction, you make your group. You make like a group, like your guild, and your guild can then claim territories in the map of your server. So like for example with Hectic and me, or we haven't obviously claimed anything because we don't have a guild, but 2 guilds have already claimed 2 plots of land. And when they claim it, they get to dictate various different things. Taxation, fees on trading, fees on crafting, and there's like one other thing. Maybe housing taxes. They get to control that in that region. So there's a benefit for being in control of the region. You get to mess with the numbers. Everything else about the game, it's an MMO. It's an MMO. You kill creatures. You're progressing a very minor story that I'm not paying attention to right now because I'm just sort of like I just want to get as much of the game as I can. The combat of the game is very. It's not WoW, nor is it like some other MMOs where it's like you point and click and then you sort of click and you just auto attack freely based on your click. This is a dynamic combat system. You have some more adjacency in regard agency. Excuse me. You have agency in the style you play a bit more than just like, okay, I clicked on this enemy and I'm just auto attacking like this. And I'm not actually doing anything besides auto attacking because I clicked once and I just sit there and auto attack after I clicked them.
I mean, you have abilities in other MMOs that you click to use.
My point is, you actually auto attack and you don't just do Xenoblade attacks. Does this make sense to you? Your auto attack is not Xenoblade auto attack.
Yeah, you have to aim. You
actually have to aim.
Your attack. You have to like go next to the enemy and hit them.
It's dynamic. You have to aim.
Looked like there was a stamina meter too from the little bit that I saw you play.
There's you actually have to aim. You have to aim your ranged weapons. You have to aim your melee attacks. There's obviously like skill attacks that you would get in any other MMO too, and there's like certain numbers that you can put on. And all your weapons have a certain capability. You level up your weapons as well. So you level up your weapons, level up. It's interesting, and the game looks really good. Like graphically speaking, this is one of the nicest MMOs I've ever seen. I have to say it. I'm sorry, MMO fans. Your MMOs look poo-poo. They look poo-poo to look at. I cry every time I see them. They make me cry. This game actually looks pretty. It looks really pretty. Even on the lowest graphic setting, it looks pretty.
Because it's new. Most of the other like MMOs that are popular are very old, and they have to build off the olds. Like WoW's like 20 years old at this point. Like,
there's not much direction. I get it, but it's still I cry when I see it. And this game looks really nice. It does, and the game's fun. Hectic and I have been having some fun. It has problems. There's like systems we can't do yet, so we'll have to wait and see on those. There's like a war mode where it's 50v50 PvP. There is just general PvP where like people are just fighting in the environment, and you can set yourself to be PvP or non-PvP. And then there's forts that you can attack, and you can try and take forts. So there's like various different levels of PvP that people can engage in, and it seems like PvP looks fun. We haven't done it. We're not 100% interested in it yet. I'll probably try it, but the only PvP I'm interested in this game is like the war mode and the attacking a fort. Attacking a fort sounds interesting.
Are there classes in the game? Like you select a class at the start, or is
No,
it
you don't select a class. Your weapons determine how you play. Your weapons are like your class. If I pick a sword and shield, guess what class I've taken? I'm probably a tank.
you're probably the sword and shield tank class?
That being said, you can use a rapier and a bow, or I use a hatchet and a bow. My hatchet is my melee weapon, obviously, and my bow is my range, and I can use both because the hatchet scales off dexterity in the same way that the bow does.
Are there? You said there are some like actual abilities or skills that you can activate in
Yes.
combat, right?
Yes.
Is there like a skill tree or
Sort of, yes. It's not as complex as what you would see in other games, but you have like for each weapon there's a tree of your skills for the weapon.
Oh, okay. It's okay. So it's like when you're upgrading the weapon, that's where the skill tree is.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
so your weapons determine your class and your skill, and
correct.
like upgrading your weapons give you the skills and whatever the stats and stuff like
you
that.
basically like when you go in at this point, like I've told Hectic this, like what we're trying to do right now in this closed beta is figure out which weapons we like, and then based on that we will dictate our play that way. There's magic in this game, so they're not like spellcasters, so to speak. They use staves that are their spells. Okay, their staves use the spells. So there's healing staves, there's fire staves, ice staves, and so on and so forth. And I think those have like skill trees. I don't know yet because I haven't used it. But like the but yeah, like you don't just say like I'm a tank. That's my class. You go, okay, I've got a sword and shield, but I can also pull out a musket if I want to shoot somebody at range. So what Hectic does, as an example, Hectic has a spear and a musket, and what he does is he throws his spear at somebody as an ability, knocks him down,
and then shoots him with the musket.
Shoots him with the musket, and then runs back at him with the spear. It's like there's like a combo he does. He shoots him with the musket, knocks him down with a spear, shoots him again with the musket, attacks him at melee with the spear. That's his strategy. Like his strategy is like kind of like a mixture. He's a mid-range character. I'm probably a bit more on the side of like the hatchet can do like a melee berserk build. I'm gonna be doing that, so I'm a bit more of like a DPS melee character. But if you're doing sword and shield, you're definitely going to be the tank. There's also like a heavy weapon in this, and the heavy weapon I think could also be like a tank. They have a lot of CC. It looks like
they're like dungeons, or they're going to be raids in this game.
Yep. Dungeons exist. You can do them if you're at a certain level.
You're maybe not there yet.
No, we're not there yet. There are raids. Not right now, but there will be raids.
Okay.
You can't just right now you just can't do a raid.
And then there's the PvP and like the meta game of like controlling land and stuff like that.
Yes. There's a meta. There's a meta is developing right now. The meta is rapiers are very good at DPS melee. Rapiers are very good. Bows and muskets I don't think are actually that great, but muskets are pretty good. Bows I don't think are very good in my opinion. Muskets, like they're guns. When you shoot them, they go straight and they go fast. The bow doesn't do that.
Yeah, it's an arc. It's a bow. It's an
arc
shot.
It arcs. So it's a little bit harder. The hatchet used to be very good. I'm not so sure anymore. Sword and shield, I don't see a lot of it. The heavy weapons are good, like the hammer. There's like a big hammer. Hammer's good. And then obviously the stabs you use, like the mage classes are obviously you need them. You need healers. You 100% need healers in your group. So You need somebody to do that. We just haven't gotten to end game yet. We're still getting there. It like when we get to level 25, we'll actually be able to do stuff. Hectic is like 20 or 21. I'm 18 now. And we bought a house today. We just bought a house today. That was our big thing. We bought a house. So, that's New World. I think it's very fun. Oh, Hectic just hit 22. I personally think it's very fun. I'm not sold on it being for everybody. If you're an MMO person, like I'm not sure if it's for every MMO person, but I think it's fun. I enjoy it. In my opinion, I think it's definitely an above average MMO right now. This isn't free. You got to pay $40 up front to play it. My guess is if the game does decently well, they'll do expansions. Probably be more like an Elder Scrolls Online type deal where you just like buy content like that. It's not like a subscription. There is a store. You can't purchase anything in the store right now, as in you can't purchase more currency, but there's going to be a lot of things in the store that are purchasable. There will be microtransactions. So if you're not a fan of that, you should probably just not play it. It's going to be a thing. The only other issues I had with the game, most of my time is running. Fast traveling this game is a pain in the ass. There's lots of different settlements in the game. You have to check in at one inn, and you can only fast travel to that inn. Okay? So that means if I need to go to a settlement up here, settlement B, but I've checked in at A, I can't fast travel to B. I can only fast travel to A, unless I fast travel from like a waypoint stone location. And even then, that costs currency. You can only fast travel with currency.
That's fucking stupid.
Also, certain resources are not easy to find in certain areas. For example, there's a quest that forces you to kill sheep and then harvest and then skin them. There's only one area that we found where the sheep spawn in one specific settlement, and they spawn 2 at a time. Nice. Can you guess how many people were waiting for fucking sheep?
That's the MMO life right there, dude. That's
who's gonna get the sheep?
I'm going back to playing frickin' the first expansion of World of Warcraft, Burning Crusade, when everyone for the first expansion was dumped into the same region, and there was like this quest boss you had to kill, and it was just a frickin' line of people trying to frickin' kill this one quest boss.
That doesn't happen with like specific quest enemies because they constantly respawn. But the freaking sheep, we're all just waiting there like, who's gonna kill the sheep first? Who's gonna kill the sheep first and then skin it? People are generally nice. Like, for example, if me and somebody else kill like an animal, or like if I kill an animal, somebody doesn't just run up and steal my like skin. They generally will like let you take your kill. Nobody's an asshole that I found yet. But yeah, this is it's a fun game. If you're an MMO fan, I would say you might like it if you're willing to spend $40. You might like it. I know I pre-ordered it and I'm keeping my pre-order up. Hectic did. I imagine he's keeping his up. It's fun. That's all I have to say. It is really fun. Like we enjoy it. If we get 5 people, that's enough for a dungeon group. 5 people is the dungeon number in this game. It's like 5 people, I think. I imagine when you get to raids, it's going to be a lot bigger. And war is 50v50, but like honestly, if you had a group of like 5, I think you'd be fine in this game. I've seen groups of 10 running on roads, and it's freaking hilarious. You just see this group of like 10 people running together. And then I saw one time somebody flagged for PvP and they were playing solo, which, by the way, don't do that. That's a dumb move. A group of 10 people who flagged for PvP also ran up on the person because they were in a different faction, fucking just annihilated them, and then moved on. Just watching like, bro, you're alone. You can't flag for PvP. You gotta unflag that shit. What are you doing? What are you doing, man? That was like the funniest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, it's fun. So That's all I have to say.
Cool.
Okay. Well, Spoon, if there's nothing else we have that's requiring discussion, I can get to class and have dinner. So, my friend, are we closing shop here today?
Yeah, I don't have anything else to talk about.
Okay, that sounds good. So, let's just do a quick closer. At some point, we'll get YouTube content up. If you have the opportunity, and we post some videos in our Discord or on Twitter, be sure to not subscribe. Definitely don't like, comment saying we're pieces of shit, and we should go fuck ourselves. Because we're terrible human beings. I'm using reverse psychology. Maybe it'll get them. Maybe it'll get them. And also be sure to never look at our Twitter. Don't like anything. And I hope everybody has a good rest of your weekend, though. And next week we'll probably not be back on Wednesday because I am traveling back home from LA. But we will discuss when we're going to do the next episode. Spoon is leaving on the 31st of this month, so possibly Thursday of next week will be the next episode.
Thursday or Friday would be fun.
Yeah, Thursday or Friday. And yeah, I hope everybody had a good time here today. And we'll see you guys next week at some point.
Yep.